Oh my God, I love this song. Everybody sing it with me. There used to be a great tower alone on the sea.
Did you know that when it snows, my eyes become a lot and the light that you shine can't be seen?
Go sleep, baby. I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. I can't believe no one in this family wants to sing. Wally World, here we come.
What the hell is that?
That's a 2015 Tartan Prancer. It's the Honda of Albania.
Let's hit the road.
What kind of asshole would drive his family cross country?
Audrey, Dad wanted us to be close, and that's all I want for my family.
Family is the most important thing there is.
Hi, folks. You must be the Fung family.
Huh?
I'm just messing you. Look at his face. It's like, Fungs? Huh?
Stop talking to me.
Sheila, do you like school this year?
It's okay.
So, do you like school this year? That's seriously what you sound like. Just shut up.
You gotta go faster, Dad.
The Prancer doesn't go any faster.
Okay, well, maybe if I press this rapid button, it'll like give it a boost or something.
Yes.
What? What's happening?
Why am I swiveling? I'm swiveling.
I don't know.
Grab the wheel. Grab the wheel.
They see me rolling.
It looked like somebody blew their head off. Freeze!
This trip's been a nightmare.
You had a dream to take your family to Wally World. Never let that go.
What kind of a family are you?
We're the Griswolds, you piece of ass.
Tryna catch me right dirty. Tryna catch me right dirty.
Wow, this is beautiful.
I say we call it Griswold Springs.
Why does it smell like rotten eggs?
Well, that's the sulfur, buddy. It's natural. We should jar this stuff.
I don't think this is a hot spring.
Found a dart.
Are you crazy?
Everybody out of Griswold Springs.
We're naked and covered in human waste.
Oh, come on, sweetheart. We don't know that it's human.
Hey, everybody. Take a seat.
All right.
Ed, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I got to see this movie the other day. I was really surprised by how far it went with the jokes. I thought it was fantastic. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, we take it all the way. We go far. This is a great sound system, by the way. I sound like a trailer guy. Ed Helms in Vacation. Sorry.
No, keep going.
I'm getting
That was
carried
great.
away.
That was fantastic. So my question for you was when you got the script, when they offered this part to you, what were you thinking? What did you think the movie would be? Did you expect it to go as far as it went? Be as R-rated as it is?
Well, I think there were a lot of discussions before I even got the script about whether or not it was going to be PG-13 or whether it was going to be R, and I hoped it would be R, and it was. It was extremely R-rated.
Why did you hope it would be R?
Well, because in comedy, an R rating doesn't mean like you have to stick lots of crazy sex or whatever in there, but it just means you're kind of unfettered. There's no constraints. And I think when you're making comedy, that's just a nice way to dive in.
You can kind of see where the joke can go, where it ends, rather than
take
knowing that it...
You can just take it as far as you want, as opposed to like, oh, we have to stop there because there's a bad word in it or too many F-bombs or whatever.
How often do you find yourself on set with the cast, with the crew, sort of taking it further than it was written on the page? Not necessarily improvising, but sort of getting together and be like, oh, well, what if it'd be fun, even funnier if we did this on top of that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because this movie was a little bit unusual for me in that way. I've always done a lot of improvisation. It's kind of how I came up through Upright Citizens Brigade and all that stuff. So on The Office, on the Hangovers movies, and lots of other movies, improvisation's always been a big thing. On this movie, I read the script and I loved the precision of the jokes, and I thought that Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly had done such a good job kind of structuring these clean, sharp jokes, that I focused more on just performing those words in a way that I wanted versus riffing and kind of having fun. Now, that said, we did improvise some, and some of it's in there, and we did a lot of kind of powwowing right before scenes to figure out, oh, this could be funnier if, if the penis is bigger, or if...
Did you guys have a series of penises to choose from for Hemsworth?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Who made the final decision on the exact size of the penis?
I made the call to just go with the one that was molded off of me. I thought that was the most...
Well played, sir.
I thought that was the best one.
Was that decision for you to sort of go, you said you improvised a little bit, but sort of go word for word, a new challenge for you? Were you trying to challenge yourself a little bit more, considering that you had, you'd worked with Duplass brothers in a sort of improvisational drama, and then these other sort of improvised comedies a little bit? Was that something where, like, I want to try to stick to this a little bit more and see what I can bring?
Yeah, that's interesting. That Duplass movie.
Love that movie, by the way.
Thank you very much. Jeff, who lives at home, for both of you who saw it.
Me and you.
That was a really fun movie and completely improvised. Mark and Jay Duplass wrote a great script for it, but they told Jason Segel and I to not use a single word that they wrote, and we just kind of would do the scenes more kind of thematically, like what are we trying to get across, and that was really fun and exhilarating. In this case, again, like improvisation in comedy, it a lot of times really hilarious gold emerges, but a lot of times you're just kind of padding out a scene, and improvisation can make it feel a little bit murkier and harder to find a joke. So I really, again, it really just came from taking so much delight in the script and reading these kind of elegant, structured jokes, and wanting to do them precisely. And it was kind of a new approach for me, and a ton of fun to actually like learn my lines ahead of time.
How often did you find with improvising on The Office or even in something like The Hangover, comedy in TV and also in movies a lot of times is strictly beated, like you're getting from plot point to plot point for the sake of all these jokes that you would improvise, you would play, you would do what I think some people call like your take or a take for fun or something.
Right.
But really in the editing room, you just saw the script because they had to move through the beats really fast.
I did not understand that question.
I always find that on TV show sets, everyone's given their take and everyone's allowed to play and improvise, but then once the show is edited down, there's so many beats that a TV show has to get through that your improvisations really are sort of thrown out and the script is stuck to.
Yeah, well, it's funny, on The Office, the scripts were so long, they were so overwritten, so even doing it like efficiently, they're still cutting out a ton of stuff that we've shot, and every episode, there were just so many beautiful babies that got killed. And I would see the final cut and just be like, oh, but remember when Dwight said that thing to Jim? It was so funny, and it's just lost forever. But yeah, and then when you improvise on top of that, even more stuff just kind of gets chiseled out. Because what happens in TV is you really do have to tell that story in a prescribed time, and so much of the goofy, fun stuff that's less story relevant just gets sliced right out.
Do you miss The Office?
Every day. I miss it so much. It was a joy. I mean, it will forever be one of the great chapters that I'm so grateful to have had in my life.
When you get on the set for a movie like Vacation, do you sort of know how to develop that bond with the people that you're working with, having come from something like The Office, where you guys all clearly were very close while you were shooting that show? Do you know how to sort of develop that a little bit quicker for the sake of the time span of shooting a movie?
It varies. Every set is different, every cast is different, and it just kind of depends on the dynamic, and it kind of depends on what your role is on a show. It just so happened on The Office that Steve Carell set such a great tone. And I think when you are the main character in something, you're kind of in a default leadership position just because you're setting an example for a lot of the other cast. And Steve was really kind of amazing that way. Never complained, worked harder than anybody, and had more to do than anybody. And that's what I think that's why The Office was such a pleasant and fun workplace, is because everybody just wanted to kind of elevate to his level.
There are so many amazing cameos in Vacation. I don't want to give too many away. I mean, clearly we have Hemsworth, who's in the trailer, but there are a number of them. Charlie Day, who is in the trailer, and
you just
a
gave
few
one
more.
away. Oh, he's in the trailer.
Yeah, I didn't give the other ones away that I love.
You gave away the trailer.
The one particular scene, I won't say anybody who's in that scene, but I loved that scene at the Four Corners. Did you know that these people were going to be in the movie before shooting? When you got, was it something like that they were casting close to the day and they were sort of figuring out who they were going to be able to get that day?
Yeah, yes, and I was actually very involved because I'm friends with those people, and I was trying desperately. It's funny, like you start production on a movie and not all the parts have been cast, and a lot of times it becomes this thing of this crazy, I don't know, like a puzzle, jigsaw puzzle of how actors' schedules are going to work and when it can fit, and when we're going to be on the location, and we were really kind of pushing and pulling to get the people we wanted into that scene, and it's awesome. It turned out so great, and that's like one of the fun cameo explosions.
Is it really fun for you doing these movies or is it important for you to be able to cast your friends and work with friends?
Well, I don't ordinarily, I wouldn't endorse nepotism per se, but I do, I'm lucky.
Makes it easier.
I'm lucky to be friends with people who I happen to think are extremely talented and hilarious and wonderful to work with. So I'm always excited to team up with people who I know and love.
This is like I guess what some people would refer to as a big studio comedy. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I feel like the last time that we saw you in big studio comedies was The Hangover. Was there anything that you learned moving forward about acting, about your career, having had the success of that trifecta of movies?
Those movies, I think, just it was such a sort of baptism by fire, in terms of knowing and understanding and learning about film production on a big scale, film marketing on a big scale. I can't overstate what I learned through that whole process. All three of those movies, each one we learned something new. At Hangover 2, I learned not to eat the street food in Bangkok.
What was the worst street food that you ate in Bangkok?
Well, this is the unfortunately it's all delicious.
Yes.
But I ate the wrong bowl of noodles. And
did they have to shut down shooting or anything for you? Okay, that's
good. Not even for a second. I called the first AD and I was like sobbing in my hotel room because I was so sick. And imagine the worst stomach sickness imaginable, and then multiply that times 100. That's what I had. And I got really dark. Like I kind of thought I was gonna die because I was in Thailand, and I'm not saying it was rational, but I just thought I was in a really dark place. I called the first AD, who does the schedule, and I was like, I'm really in bad shape. And he was like, great, well, your pickup's at 6:15, so we'll see you. And I shot the scene where we're rioting in the streets. It's actually, I think, what you see on the cell phone in the tattoo parlor. It's the footage of us from the night before rioting in the streets. And that whole thing I shot while vomiting between takes. Yeah. It's hardcore. Movies got to go. You got to just go.
Did anyone feel bad for you, or they're like, go ahead, vomit. Okay, great, get back
what?
up.
Zach and Bradley were so sweet. Like, I was curled up on the sidewalk of the red light district in Thailand, like in the gutter, basically, just in a ball of agony. And they were like sitting on the curb, just patting my head. And it was they were very supportive. But you know what? Everybody went through. It's production on that scale. It it's very demanding, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. But some days are harder than others.
You've kind of with your character in The Hangover and with your character in The Office and with this and with Rusty Griswold, you've sort of mastered the art of the emasculated man.
Thank you.
I've been working.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
The emasculated man.
I've been working my way up to that question. I'm sorry. But I mean, you're incredible at this at versions of this character.
Keep digging. No, I'm kidding.
Where does this come from? Because you don't seem emasculated at no.
You know what? I really love and relate to these characters, and I think that they're a way for me to sort of exercise some of my own insecurities and demons and latch on to what I love about Rusty, for example. He's just so relentlessly hopeful. You know, he's so positive and he really is selfless. Like, he wants what's best for his family. And I find that really endearing. And same with Andy Bernard, a character who just wanted all the right things, but had none of the tools to do it right, you know? And I feel that way a lot in my life. I'm slightly more functional than Andy Bernard, hopefully. But I really have a lot of compassion for these characters.
I think we all have a lot of compassion for men or women who, like you said, want everything but just don't have the tools and don't have the main tool of realizing what they're actually capable of and what their limitations are.
Right.
Constantly bumping into it.
And we're all limited by our own sort of fears and our own insecurities. And a character like Andy, who's just always getting in his own way, and there's so much kind of shame and rage under there. It's something that a lot of us, I think, in some of our more vulnerable moments can relate to.
Is that something that you enjoy bringing to these characters a little bit? I would imagine coming from improv, that can go to dark places, and that's when it's really fun, I think, for some comedians is to go to dark places, is when you can bring the shame and the rage to Andy Bernard. I remember he had, like, anger management problems, right?
Yes, of course. I love shame and rage. They're my favorite emotions.
They're very funny emotions.
Yeah,
so,
no, that and I think that they're I have such a soft spot for someone who's in the throes of that, and I think that was really what sort of pulled, in the case of Andy Bernard, really kind of his arc over those first 5 seasons or so was to kind of come out of the depths of kind of dark and dysfunctional behavior and into a much more compassionate and kind-hearted place, and that I feel like is a noble path, and it's something that I love to portray. It's just a person trying to be a better version of themselves, and I think Rusty is that too. Always trying to just be better.
He has the compassion, but not the control.
Right.
Yeah, of any kind.
Yeah.
One of the things that
the self-awareness.
Or the self-awareness, yeah. One of the things that I loved about this film is the 2 kids who play your sons. They are unbelievably funny.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And they're also written differently than any other sort of children that we've seen in movies before. You know, the younger one is bullying the older one, and sometimes in really, really dark ways.
Yeah. Which
we saw in the trailer with the plastic bag. Where did they find them? What was it like working with these kids?
I have no idea where they found them. But yeah, they're like 2 little comedy geniuses. They're little like baby Louis C.K.'s or something. Because their instincts were so good. That was what was so fun. They're so fun to work with because they're just really smart and effortless. Like, there's a real naturalness to their performances. And what's also kind of delightful about them is that Steele Stebbins, who plays the younger kid, who's really kind of a little punk in the movie, like he's a little jerk, could not be a sweeter kid in real life. Like, he's throwing around F-bombs because they're in the script, but off camera, like, he would never say a curse word. He's very well behaved, very respectful and sweet. And then Skyler, who plays the older brother is a little bit kind of nerdier and artsier and softer. He off camera, he's just like this cool kid with a lot of swagger, and he's just like this really confident, also delightful kid. And we had a great time.
Now, you have this scene with Chris Hemsworth where he comes in, and it's in a number of the trailers where he's just in sort of his underwear, and he's got a huge penis in it.
He's got a huge underwear.
Well, outside of the prosthetic penis in the scene, which I'm assuming is prosthetic, what is it like to be a regular guy in a room having to look at an almost nude Chris Hemsworth? Because for me, watching this, like, I gotta get to the gym. This guy is ridiculous.
He's a glorious human being. I mean, there's a reason he portrays a Norse god.
Yeah.
In another film franchise. Yeah. The guy, what can I say? The guy's got a good workout program. He has the body of a praying mantis. Yeah. It's segmented perfectly. But there are a lot of muscular guys out there. He also happens to have perfect complexion, like his whole body. So your question was, what's it like for a regular guy?
You guys think this is funny, but when you're watching the movie and this scene happens, you're like, holy shit, what is going on with this guy? Where does this body come from?
Yeah. Yeah, what the hell, man? Where do you get off having a body like that? That's not cool. Yeah, it's awesome. It's inspiring. It's inspiring is what it is.
Maybe question time from the audience.
Hi. This is kind of a two-part question. One, in any way do you see yourself similar to Rusty as in your own personal life? And if not, what character have you played that you think you resemble that you are very similar to?
Well, I was sort of touching on this a little bit. I think that there's I really love Rusty and kind of think that his values are really good and that he wants to do the right thing and be a good dad. And in that way, I kind of hope I'm like Rusty. But otherwise, I look exactly like him, and I talk exactly like him. Other characters, I hope I'm not too much like Andy Bernard, but I don't know. Yeah.
What do you have any horrible vacation stories? Have you had a bad vacation either as a father or as a child?
I'm not a father.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm not a father yet. Hopefully, I will be a father.
Keep working.
And but horrible vacation stories. Yeah, well, we took this epic road trip when I was a kid. I have two older siblings, and we were driving all through the western United States, through like the Four Corners and the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone and Glacier National Park and all that stuff, which is fantastic. But between those things are 10,000 miles of barren desert. So it's like 20 hours of just desert driving. And I remember it was so phenomenally boring. We're in a rented Oldsmobile sedan, 5 of us. And my brother and I were eating grapes in the back seat. We were so bored, we put grapes in the windowsill to see if we could make raisins.
Did it work out?
It worked. No, it didn't work. Didn't work.
Next question.
How you doing, Ed? In the last Hangover, Stu woke up with breasts. I'm thinking, my question to you is, do you think Stu kept him, or do you think he had him removed?
Well, that's a wonderful question. I'm glad you asked that. And I guess part of the beauty of that is that we'll never know. And and I I would maybe rather not speculate and leave the mystery alive. What do you think? I think he probably maybe what? Sure, I think. Look, I think what the great thing about that character Stu is that he had so many. He was so repressed. You know, there was so much insanity that came out of him on those nights, and I think that maybe that was a wake up call for him, and he quite liked it, and hopefully embraced that side of himself moving forward. Yeah.
Next question.
Hi there. What was one of your favorite memories from working on The Office?
Oh, man. Gosh, there's so many. And, you know, that was 7 years of just incredible, or 8? I don't even remember how many. But I watch episodes now. I mean, there was so much that we shot, and and you know, the episodes are a half hour long, but they took 5, 12-hour days to shoot. So all that time, it all kind of runs together. And now I'll see an episode on TV, and I'll be like, oh my God, like I actually forgot about that, some moment or some scene, and it triggers these great memories. But, you know, it's all the in-between stuff, like hanging out between takes, and Creed and I would play music all the time and sing songs, and I would try desperately to make Ellie Kemper and Mindy Kaling laugh with just really dumb prop comedy jokes from the craft service table. Like I would make a person out of a donut and celery stalks and try to do puppet shows. I don't know. It really was just the community. It's a wonderful memory.
Do you know what their casting process was like on that show? Because it seems like they were really committed to casting not just people who fit the characters, but people who were really going to get along and enjoy being around each other and work very well together. I mean, there was that New Yorker profile on a casting agent a few months ago where Paul Feig and Judd Apatow said that she casts people that you want to work with for the rest of your life.
Sure.
And it seems like The Office had a sort of mandate to do that as well.
Well, I think, it's sort of Greg Daniels, the showrunner, just had such a vision, and casting writer performers, I think, also really helped set the tone. I don't know. Sometimes there's just a tremendous amount of luck involved in finding chemistry with a cast like that. But
absolutely. Do you have one more question?
Hi.
Hello.
I want to ask you, who is your favorite comedic actor, and what do you think you've learned from them?
Oh boy, there are so many, but I guess I'd have to say, if I'm going back to sort of the inspirations for me, the reason I even chose this career path and why I do what I do, it's really guys like Chevy Chase and Steve Martin and Martin Short and Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy to me was like just. He was just such an inspiration for me. On his stuff on Saturday Night Live, it was like right around when I was about 10 years old and really getting excited about that stuff. Honestly, if there were action figures for like the Three Amigos, that's what I would have instead of Stormtroopers and Star Wars action figures. But yeah, and then Mike Myers and Chris Farley and Adam Sandler and Jerry Seinfeld, a lot of the stand-up comedians I really worshipped early on because that's how I started. I was doing stand-up right here in New York for a lot of years.
When you were doing stand-up here in New York, so many of the people around the same time that you were doing stand-up here at UCB, and I believe there was another club downtown that you did as well, right? That was pre-Rafifi, I think. Can't remember the name of it.
There were so many weird little spots. Pre-Rafifi, there were the Boston Comedy Club, which is no longer there. It used to be right on West 3rd Street over here. That's where I did a lot of stuff. But then, you're probably thinking of Luna Lounge.
Yes,
Eating It.
Luna Lounge. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fantastic show. That's where like Mark Maron and Todd Barry and Janine Garofalo and Jim Gaffigan and
Well,
all
all
those.
these people that are incredibly successful now, along with you, was there a competition at all in that scene? Because it doesn't seem like, as you guys are all successful now, that there was ever competition between any of you. It all seems so lovely and supportive.
Well, I have to say it was an incredibly special time and and a really incredible. Like I was in my 20s, just starving, not making any money, and really just trying to make a go of it. And there were like the people who really dug in and worked hard at it, kind of stuck together. And I think it was a really comedians are complex people often and can be competitive, but I remember that time as just being really exciting and fun and supportive.
Absolutely. Ed, I think I have to let you go. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations
A
on
pleasure.
vacation. Guys, thank you for watching
Thank you so
in the
much.
audience. And hey, well, Ed, thank you.